Did you see that? I knew that this thing had some magical powers, but I just didn't quite know what they were. I usually get to use this for conducting bands and orchestras, but in March I hit a point where I wasn't able to use it anymore for a while. Whew. That was very, very strange. I'm going to put this down for just a minute. I am Mr. Divine, and I am happy to be your teacher. I'm looking forward to this school year, getting to know each and every one of you, and I want to just tell you a little bit about myself. I married my high school sweetheart. Yes, in fact, I'm going to tell you the story of how we got together. I was in band, and she was a flag girl in the band. And we were on a band trip to Disney World. It was our junior year. But I didn't really get to know her yet that year. I just noticed her. I was checking her out. I liked how she looked, and I thought she was pretty nice. That's actually more important. But, I liked how she looked too. She's a very beautiful person. Fast forward to that summer between my junior and senior year. I had plans to go to a movie with a friend of mine. His name was Dave. But you know what? He stole from his mom. Don't do that. And he calls me up and he says, James, I'm not going to be able to go to the movies. I'm on restriction for about 10 years. And at the time, I used to hate doing stuff alone. I was like, Dave, what's up with that? Why would you leave me in this position? We were going to go to the movie, and now you're calling me just a few hours before the movie to tell me that you're not going to be able to go? And he said, don't be worried. Why don't you ask Susan? I said, Dave, I can't ask Susan to go with me to the movies with about 3 hours notice and call her up and say, hey, this is James. I'm not sure if you know me or not, but do you want to go to a movie with me? But he convinced me. He said, what have you got to lose? And he was right. So I gave her a call and I said exactly that. Hey, Susan, this is James Divine. I'm not sure if you know me, but we were kind of hanging out in the same group at Disney World. Anyway, would you like to go to a movie with me in about 2 hours? I'll come and pick you up. She said yes. So we started dating, and we dated for 2.5 years. And when I was 20 and she was 19, we got married. Now, I want to remind you, we had a long courtship in there, and long courtships are important. Now, we had 4 kids throughout our marriage. We've been married 33 years now. We had 4 kids, and their ages are 32, 29, 25, and 22. They're all grown. They're all doing their own things. My daughter is the oldest. She's 32, and she's a sign language interpreter, and she's the mother of one of my grandkids. She lives in Germany, and she is expecting another grandkid. I'll talk about those more in just a minute. My next one is Josh. He got married, and he's the father of 5 kids and another one on the way. So he's my favorite because he has the most grandkids. And Josh is a lawyer, but he right now is getting to work with Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. I am very proud of all of my kids, but this is quite a big accomplishment for Josh to be able to do. He's clerking with a Supreme Court justice. Not very many people get to do that. My third child is David. He's the one who's 25, and he's a deputy with the El Paso County Sheriff's Department. Right now, he's working in the jail and keeping the prisoners safe and helping them, guide them to a better life. Hopefully, they learn their lesson from what they're doing, and they move forward and away from that type of life that got them there in the first place. And then my son, Austin, he's 22. and he works at the Glen Erie Conference Center, which is a beautiful place with a castle. If you can convince your parents to take you there sometime, they have a little coffee shop and you can walk the grounds. And it's a very important building in the history of Colorado Springs because General William Palmer, who founded our city, that was his first home when, not his very first home, but he built that land and built the castle for his wife. So those are my 4 kids. And then I told you about my grandkids. I have 8 of them. One of them is 8 years old, almost ready for middle school. Another one is 6 years old. She's a girl too, a 4-year-old girl. And then there's 3 2-year-old grandkids. One of them is a boy, and then his sister, they're twins, is a girl. And then the one I told you about in Germany, he's a boy also. And then there's 2 on the way. One is coming in December and one in February. We are so excited. If you ever have the chance to be a grandparent, it is one of the coolest experiences around. Some of the things I like to do, I like to go hiking. My wife and I go almost every weekend in the fall and in the spring. Now in the summer, we took up a different hobby. We bought a stand-up paddleboard, and that, if you're not sure what that is, it's kind of like a surfboard, but it's a little bit different. And you have a paddle, and you stand up on it. And we went to lakes all over Colorado. Sometimes we went right here close to the school to Memorial Park, and we just had a great time being on the lake. So that's another one of our hobbies. I also like to mountain bike. My mountain bike actually broke this summer, and I bought a hybrid bike, which is like not quite like a road bike and not quite like a mountain bike. But most of our trails in Colorado Springs, you can ride a hybrid bike on, and it's easy to ride it on the roads. So when school finally starts back in person, you might see me riding my bike to work, because I like to try to stay fit, because when you get older and you're in a nursing home, I want to come and visit you. All right, so because I love all of my students. Another hobby of mine, and you're going to hear some more about this, is I love to read. I read about 40 books a year. Reading is so important to your education, to you improving as a person. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about, I've told you some of the great things in my life. I want to let you know a little bit about my history, because I think this is important for you to know, because some of you may be experiencing these same kind of things. And I want you to know that you can have a great future. My father was abusive to my mom. Oh, he was terrible to her. And we finally ended up having to leave and moving away. There was a good part of that because my mom's from Italy. And so we moved to Italy, and I got to live in Italy for a couple of years. When we came back from Italy for a while, we were on welfare. Actually, in Italy, we were homeless. Now, not the kind of homeless, I know some people are homeless where they're living like under a bridge, and that's hard to do. But when I say we were homeless, we just didn't have our own place. So we would stay with this uncle for a while, and then we'd move to this aunt's house, and then we had our own apartment for a while with no electricity because we couldn't afford it. But we didn't know. You know, I always had food to eat, so don't feel too bad for me. But we were on welfare when we came back to the States, and we've gotten to move up in the world. That's one thing I want you to always think about. How can you make your life better each and every day? I was also abused by a man who was a friend of the family, and that was a very sad part of my life, but it's in the past now. So don't be worried about me. Don't feel bad for me. I want you to know that no matter what you have been through, you can come out of that. You can move forward to something better, because your struggles might be right now. My struggles were when I was in elementary school and in middle school. That was most of the struggles in my life, not all of them. There's always going to be struggles. But those things are in my past now, and I just am telling you those things because I want them to give you hope. I want my story to give you hope so that you can move forward in life. All right, I want to talk a little bit about the importance of education. I was the first person in my family to attend college. My mom has a first grade education, and she always was talking about how much she wishes she could have gone to school. But she had to work. She was the oldest girl in a family of 8 or 9 kids. And so she had to go to work when she was 6, 7 years old to try to earn money to help support her family. So she always was telling my sister and I, she's like, education, education, enjoy it. Enjoy your time as a kid. She didn't even really get to play as a kid because she was working. So if nothing else, my mom really gave me that love for education. And education is not just going to college. That could be important for some people. It was important for the goals I had for me because I wanted to be a teacher, and you need your bachelor's degree to be a teacher. And then I thought there's still a lot of things I don't know about teaching music, so I got my master's in music education. But there's other things besides teaching. I'll tell you what, people who are plumbers and electricians, they actually make more than teachers do. And they seem to enjoy what they're doing. There's always new construction going on to build homes for people, and so their work is very important and very needed. So whatever you decide to do, get educated in that field. I had a student last year whose dad had his own carpentry business, I believe it was, and he's able to hire people to work for him. That's the American dream. That's the great thing about America. He built his carpentry business so well and did such a good job. So many people were calling him. He was able to hire some other people and even paid his son. I would ask his son, hey, what did you do over spring break? Or what did you do over the school break? Oh, I was working for my dad. I made some money. And this was a middle school kid. So that is something that can be really cool. But education can happen anywhere. I know sometimes people make fun of someone who works at McDonald's, but you know what? You could go work at McDonald's and improve yourself. They have their own courses that they call McDonald University. And so there's people who go work there as a teenager, and then they say, you know what, I kind of like working in food. And then they become an assistant manager, and then they become a manager, and they're going through these trainings to help them to improve and get better. And then maybe they end up owning their own store. So there's all kinds of paths in life. You don't have to know yet as a middle schooler just what path you're going to take. The best way that I have improved and learned is through reading. I shared this a little bit earlier. I read about 40 books a year, and I wish I could read more. That doesn't even include what I read to help me become a better teacher to teach you. That's just the things I read on my own time for fun. I like to read biographies. I like to read self-help books. I love to read history. I hated history in school because I hated having to answer questions about the history. But when I'm just reading it for enjoyment, I love history. One last thing before I go, I want you to know that this isn't necessarily what we all wanted with this online teaching. And those of you who are wanting to learn an instrument, we might not be able to do it exactly like how you wanted at first, but that day is going to come. So have hope, look forward to the future, leave the past behind. I had to learn how to do that through my many struggles. And here I am today, father of 4 grown, wonderful kids, husband to my lovely sweetheart, my high school sweetheart, 8 grandkids, getting to do a job I love to do. So leave the past behind, look forward to the future. And even if this isn't exactly what you wanted and we're not going to get to do the instruments like you originally thought, that time will come. So don't be worried. And I want you to know that if no one else has told you today that they love you, I want you to know that I love you. Let me pick up my baton one more time, and we're going to kind of see if I can get this to work to get me out of here.